Hey everybody, it's Ben in beta, and I'm in a different place as you might notice, but those of you who've watched the channel for a while might note that I am back home visiting my mom for about a month while we get some work done at our house in Utah. So I trekked the 1,400 miles here in the Santa Fe, and I brought a bunch of my detailing things with me as well so I could do a few different projects while I was here. But today's video is going to be all about lessons I've learned with detailing while I detail my vehicle after we just got finished with the drive here. So I just arrived yesterday after about a 22 hour drive over the course of a day and a half or so. And it's pretty dirty, as you can see. So I need to get it cleaned up. In the next couple of weeks while I'm here, I do plan on putting a full coating on this vehicle as well. So I brought a bunch of different stuff with me. Unfortunately, I did forget one item, but that's okay. So I brought a bunch of different stuff with me so I could do all that work and also take care of my mom's car while I'm here, that kind of thing. But today we're going to be doing a hybrid wash because I need to get all of these bugs off. So we're going to use a little bit of all clean inside the SPTA sprayer. And then we're going to be using a brand new product for me today, which is the Quiver Rogue pH neutral wash, which will be combining a little bit with the all clean as well to help it dwell in here a little bit longer. But then we're going to go ahead and foam the vehicle with that. We're going to rinse it, get a bunch of that gunk off there. And then we're going to be using the Clean by Pan Rinseless Wash today to complete a rinseless wash, just so this vehicle is clean and ready to go for the future. While I'm doing that though, I want to talk about some of the lessons I've learned in the last year, especially through this DIY tuber experience with detailing. So I have a few things to talk about while we're doing that. One of the lessons I learned that's really important before we get started is preparation. It's really important to get all your stuff out, ready to go and kind of prepared before you start. That is really helpful. Preparation also comes in with making lists and remembering all your items. So I remembered almost everything when I left, but I forgot one item that I really had wanted to use in a video, and I'm 1,400 miles away and that item's no longer in stock. So there's some preparation pieces there of making a list and making sure you have everything before you take off. That's one lesson I've learned. It's just being prepared and making sure you have everything that you need before you get a job started. And then if you have everything laid out like I do today, when I do this wash, it's going to go much quicker. So I can fill up my SPTA sprayer ahead of time, make sure it's all ready to go. I've already taken the time to make sure that the water is running through my system. This is a new hose for me too from Yamatic I'm giving a try. And I want to make sure that it's going to run well with my Rouge system, and that's all testing great. So just preparing everything ahead of time, having it laid out where you need it is important. And I really learned that lesson in the last couple of days when I was working with Nick and we were detailing my wife's vehicle. We were kind of all over the place with prep. I had prepped a lot of things, but I could have done a better job with that and it would have taken less time. So when you're doing something like prepping a vehicle, you want to make sure everything is ready to go. So even when you're doing just a standard detailing with your vehicle, it's just good to have everything laid out, you know, the process you're going to follow and have everything ready to go as much as possible. So that was lesson number one. Lesson number two is there are really great ways to save time and energy on the things that you don't like doing as much. And one of the things that I don't like doing as much is interiors. And I recently detailed this interior, but on my way here, I spilled coffee all over the place. As I was getting into my vehicle, it slipped out of my hand and it hit the sill here and it went everywhere. So I do want to clean the interior out a little bit, plus my screen is pretty dirty, but I don't like interiors. This has already been done with Cleaning Protect a few weeks ago. So what I'm going to do instead is use a really easy method today to try to clean my interior quickly, and that's rinseless. Because I'm doing a rinseless wash today, I'm going to go ahead and soak this rag in the rinseless, wring it out really well, and now I'll just be able to clean the interior in just a couple of minutes. And if you do this every time you do rinseless, you can have your interior clean all the time instead of just every few months when you've decided it's gross enough to go ahead and clean. So that's another great lesson that I've learned, is that there are ways to save time and energy on things you don't like, and the interior is a good one for that. All right, so I actually just had somebody ask me about how do they get rid of bugs, and this is a really great way to do it. If you have some way to foam, super helpful. So whether that is an IK foam sprayer or something like this, or one of the keg sprayers or whatever, this is gonna work really well. So I have 1.5 liters of water, so 1,500 milliliters, and we're gonna add 100 milliliters here, and that'd be 15 to 1. So that's what we're gonna do with that really quick. So I'm adding all clean. This is the gallon version. My gallon jug broke, unfortunately, so I had to move it to something else. So we're gonna go ahead and fill this up here quick. So there's 60, and then 40 is the middle one. If I remember right, Ivan said, here's another tip I learned the other day from Ivan. If you pour this way, it'll pour nice. So we've got 100 milliliters in here now. Now my mom's water is not amazing, but it is what it is. I have to go with what I've got. And then this is the first time I've ever used the Quiver brand of chemicals, but we're gonna use Quiver Rouge here, and this is gonna be just like a capful. That should be all we need. If it foams as well as Incredible Suds, which again, I don't know, but it should be pretty close to that. I just want it to cling, so I'm just gonna put a capful in here of this orange liquid. It smells kind of coconutty, kind of like it. So that's what we're gonna do there. So this foamer should be ready to go. I like this foamer quite a bit. And it can double also as a sprayer. So as things are kind of dwelling on there, I didn't bring a IK sprayer as well. I should have done that, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna change the tip out in this and wash it out in between while it's kind of dwelling. And then I can do the rinseless with this as well, which will be great. And all I'm doing today is just trying to get the vehicle clean. I'm gonna do a much bigger cleaning and put a full ceramic coating on that vehicle later in the month. But I just wanna get it clean and get all those bug guts off there, show people how that works. So that's what we're doing there. And then foam can, I have about 700 milliliters of water. That's what I like to use. And about an ounce of product. We're gonna give it a try and see how it foams with about an ounce, which is usually what I do with Incredible Suds or Clean by Pan or whatever. So we'll do about an ounce. Sometimes we'll do an ounce and a half, but actually for fun, we'll do an ounce and a half and see if it's just crazy or not. That should be pretty ridiculous foam. So we'll put that in there. And not too thick either, which is kind of nice. It's kind of a good consistency. It's not too thin, not too thick. So that's what I'm putting in the foam cannon for today. Now, the next lesson that I've learned that's really important is, as a DIYer, in the sense that I don't really get paid for the jobs that I do, I really like to try new products and it's fun to do. But I wouldn't be able to really do a good job of that if I didn't have products I really trusted and understood how to use with the techniques that I like. So it's really important to learn the techniques that work best for you and the products that work best for those techniques. That way, if you try something new, you can really compare it to that. And that's important. So we're gonna see today that I'm using some new stuff like this Quiver solution that I've never used before. I'm using the Quiver solution for the first time today. I've already used the Quiver cannon, so I know what that should do. I'm using a new hose here with this Yamatic. So I have some new product, but I've tested all this other stuff with things I know how it should work. So I know what I'm looking for and what I think is good to me. So it's important to note that you should kind of have your baseline products that you have learned to use and work with the techniques you want. And we'll see some of those techniques today. And some of those techniques might be including the hybrid wash, which I like. So I'm gonna be foaming today and I know what I want from that foam. So we'll see how this works with what I'm looking for. Same thing here with the bug guts and getting rid of those. I have a technique for this with All Clean and Incredible Suds normally, but I have some of the Rouge in here and we'll see if it works basically the same way. If you want to experiment as a DIYer, it's totally cool to do that, but make sure you have a baseline of products that you really like and trust. And then for the Rinseless Wash, I'm going to be using Clean by Pan today. That is what I brought along with me. So I have 4 gallons of water here, which means I should use 2 ounces of product. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to go ahead and throw that in and mix it up. Now, my mom's water is not amazing, but it'll do the trick. But just do understand that if your water is not perfect, it may change the results you were going to get. So that's another sort of bonus tip. And everybody's setup is a little bit different. And as an example, because of the water here, I might get different results than I get at home. And that's another part of the products that we like, because the products that work best here might be different from what works great in Utah or with my setup there. And everybody can have different favorites, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is fun to try new things too. Point number 4 for me is it's been so much fun to detail with other people, whether that's my wife or her friend recently, Colin, and even more recently, Nick from DIY Detail. I've learned something from all of them, either about how I can do something better or teach a technique better, or how to do something in a better way. I've learned something every single time. Detailing with other people might teach you how to do something better yourself. So you're always gonna be learning new things, and that's great. Also, detailing with other people gives you a chance to try new things that you haven't gotten a chance to try before.
Holy dang.
Nick got to try my entire setup, which is very different from his, with different products than he's tried before, and he really enjoyed that. Detailing needs to be fun, and doing it with other people makes it fun. Now remember that these videos take a lot of time and effort to make, so please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Share this out with anybody who might find it helpful and might need some tips for detailing. All right, let's get these bug guts cleaned off here. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray the vehicle. and I want to get pretty good coverage here. I'm not worried too much about the wheels today, so I'm really going to focus on getting good foam and suds where I've been hit with all the bugs. I am trying to stay out of the sun as much as I can underneath the shade of this tree, but we'll see how well that's going to work. You can see the foam here is pretty good. We're going to add another layer of foam over the top of this with the full foam cannon here in a minute, but this is just meant to help emulsify and break down all those bug guts that you saw earlier. And you can even see it's starting to work already, which is great. So I have quite a bit in here. I'm going to use quite a bit. Now my windshield was just recently coated, so they recommended 3 weeks before I washed it. It's been 2.5. Because I have a lot of product, I'm just putting a lot on. And the top of my vehicle got hit pretty hard too, so I could actually hear all the bugs bouncing off of it. This is pretty thick foam, so this is something you could use as a foam cannon if you lived in an apartment or something too, so it's something else to think about there. But this is a trick that I learned from somebody else, so that's what's important. So you can now see where the bug guts are just kind of starting to turn into goo and come off the vehicle. That's what we want. We want this to dwell as long as possible, so we're gonna use the Quiver foam cannon with the Rouge pH neutral foaming soap to help it out even more. Oh man, there's all kinds of bugs in there. All right, so that Quiver soap is very thick, which is what we want. You can see now it's gonna sit on here longer, which is exactly what we were looking for. Good stuff. All right, let's see how it looks. So that was 1.5 ounces. One of the lessons I would have learned from this is I don't need 1.5 ounces in here to get really good foam. This is really, really thick. So I would say I Am Josh V did an amazing job in this, and I only need maybe 0.5 ounce to 1 ounce in the foam cannon to get really great suds. This is unreal. I'm gonna guess 0.5 ounce maybe in the active 2.3 and maybe 1 ounce with the Ryobi, but 1.5 ounces was more than I needed for sure. This is really nice and thick. Nice job, I Am Josh V. One more quick tip. I had some of that all clean mixture left over, and I know I'm gonna use it in the next few days. So this wasn't mixed with really great water, but I'm gonna use it soon. So I actually put it into the spray bottle so I can reuse it again and not have to remix it, like on wheels or something like that. I wouldn't keep this for too long because it's gonna go bad because of the water. But if you had distilled water, it would last a lot longer, but that's not what I had. So anyway, quick tip of just saving some chemicals so I can use them again later. Now it's time to rinse the vehicle off and see how these bug guts come off. Also, while this was sitting on here, I just switched the tips out on my sprayer so I can use it for the rinseless now too. Is it a little bit of work? Yes. Would 2 sprayers be better? Sure, but you can use just 1. So I want to start top down and see what we get. You can also see my glass coating is doing a pretty good job of rejecting the soap, which is good. All right, the bugs are all gone, and there's still some bug residue, but they're mostly gone. And you notice I haven't done any scrubbing yet. The rest of that bug residue hopefully will come off when I do the rinseless wash, but that works pretty darn good. Yeah, I think most of the bugs are gone. So that's what it looks like after the all clean and then just a foaming. And again, I haven't touched anything yet, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see if there's some like bug residue, but not a big deal. So that's a good tip for you on how to quickly clean all those bugs and bug guts off your vehicle, even after 1,400 miles of bugs. Now that I got it all rinsed off and the majority of the dirt's off, I'm gonna do my rinseless. And before I start my rinseless, I need to clean my interior at the end. So I'm gonna dunk this early because I don't want it sopping wet when I'm done. I just want it wet to go over the surfaces. I wanna wring this out pretty darn good because I don't want a lot of wetness in there. And I'll just take a second towel and go right behind it to dry everything off. But now I can do my interior really quickly, right at the end. So there's that tip. Another good tip that I've learned from other people And about efficiency and planning ahead is I can now fill this right out of here, and I know the dilution is correct. So I love that tip. All right, my last tip is that details really matter. And I was talking about preparation, all that kind of stuff. Just making sure you remember all the really important small detail things in detailing. One of those is gloves. I forgot again to put my gloves on before I started working with chemicals. I'm gonna put them on now, but I did forget already to do that. So that's a small detail. Another small detail recently was I did a wash clay seal on here where I put in some ceramic gloss, and you can see that that is still holding up pretty good on here from a few weeks ago. It's gonna be coming off completely here soon. But anyway, I did that wash clay seal because it's a nice, easy way to do it. I was doing the claying and the sealing at the same time with the ceramic gloss, but I forgot to put the clay towel in the rinseless first to make sure it was all wet. So I was really worried at the end that I had done a bunch of damage to my paint. Nick took a look at it and he said, you know what, I think a lot of that was probably not from the clay towel whatsoever. The vehicle was wet when I did it, and I was using ceramic gloss on the towel, but I thought I did. And it's just that small little detail that we need to remember. And then the last tip I would give you is ask as many questions as you can on things like forums or on videos so that people can help give you advice if you're stuck. It's kind of like detailing with another person. Even if another person's not there, they can give you their experience to try to help you out. And go to the sites that you trust. I think that's important too. But let's get this thing finished up. Also, one other thing I've learned over the last year is sometimes it's just fun to detail without having to be on video or caring about what you're saying. So I'm gonna finish this vehicle and then wrap everything up from there. But basically I'm just gonna be spraying on rinseless and rinseless washing it so you can see what that looks like. I'm just gonna put this on a little speed cam. Okay, the outside is done. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments as we walk around here, take a look at it. What lessons have you learned while detailing? Let me know what questions you might have. So on the exterior, I would say the Quiver Rouge is the real deal. It did a great job. It did not stick on the surface even after I let it dwell for quite a while. The foam was super foamy, smells good, cleaned the vehicle awesome. The DIY detail all clean. In conjunction with that, you can see how much I mean, there's a little bit of some stuff here and there, but some of those I think are scratches from other things. The bug stuff is mostly gone. I mean, this looks incredible. Compared to where we started, this is unbelievably good. So foaming to get rid of the bugs is definitely the way to go. And the hybrid wash in this case, I think was the perfect wash for a 1,400 mile journey. Not that rinseless couldn't have done the same thing, but I think in this case, it was the right wash for that. But as you may recall, I'm not done yet because I had to do the interior. But I already have my rinseless dampened towel ready to go, and I just need to have another towel to go right after all this stuff. But it's gonna clean up super fast because I've already prepared this, and Rinseless does an amazing job in the interior, and I'm not looking for perfect here. I'm just looking to get the gunk out because I have 1,400 miles that I have to go back in a couple of weeks. I'm just trying to keep it clean from the first time around, so when I get back, it still looks good then too. Easy peasy. So I'm gonna finish cleaning up the interior. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you've learned a few lessons too. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.